There's a moment in every sport when greatness stops being exciting and becomes confusing. When a player performs so well, so consistently, that people struggle to understand how it's even possible. For basketball, that moment happened when Michael Jordan entered his prime. From the outside, it looked simple: a superstar scorer who jumped higher, moved faster, and played harder than everyone else. But the truth behind Jordan's prime is far more complicated. His numbers don't just dominate, they rewrite what peak performance is supposed to look like. His impact isn't just historical, it's measurable in ways the modern game still hasn't caught up to. And the players who competed against him didn't just lose, they left the court questioning whether they had witnessed something entirely different from regular human ability. What most fans don't realize is that Jordan's prime wasn't just defined by scoring titles or highlight plays. It was a stretch of years where he simultaneously led the NBA in offense, defense, efficiency, consistency, and psychological dominance. A period so rare that the league hasn't seen a complete player like that before, or since. Today we're going deeper than the trophies, deeper than the championship narratives. We're breaking down what Michael Jordan's prime actually looked like when you strip away nostalgia and look only at the truth, the numbers, the matchups, the context, and the first-hand accounts from the players who tried to stop him. Because if you really want to know how good prime Michael Jordan was, you have to understand why even the greatest defenders, coaches, and analysts walked away saying they had never seen anything like him and never expect to again. Most NBA legends have a prime that lasts 2 or 3 years, a small window where their athletic gifts, confidence, and experience align perfectly. Michael Jordan didn't have a window. He had a decade, and that decade didn't look like any prime we've ever seen. It wasn't built on one strength or one skill. It was built on an accumulation of so many strengths that even Hall of Famers admitted privately that there was no real way to guard him. To understand just how unusual Jordan's prime was, you have to first understand the league he entered. The NBA of the mid-1980s was not built for guards to dominate. The rules allowed defenders to hand-check aggressively. Big men controlled the paint, and perimeter players were rarely efficient volume scorers. Guards were expected to set up the offense, feed the bigs, and maybe score in spurts, not carry an entire franchise on their backs. Jordan walked into that era and immediately bent all those expectations into something unrecognizable. As a rookie, he averaged over 28 points a game, with a level of athleticism the league had never seen. But that wasn't the real beginning of his prime. The real prime came when he realized that he couldn't just rely on physical ability. The scoring explosions, the effortless dunks, the breakaway speed, those were just tools. Jordan's true peak was when he learned to combine that explosive physical package with a level of skill and precision that made him unstoppable even on nights when the legs weren't there. This is why coaches of that era still say that scouting Michael Jordan was an exercise in futility. They would spend hours preparing for him. Double teams, traps, matchups, help rotations, even specific psychological strategies to frustrate him, and then watch him dismantle everything within the first 6 minutes. Jordan wasn't just talented, he was a problem-solving machine. Every defensive wrinkle he saw, he studied, analyzed, and countered. And once he solved it once, he never struggled with it again. The turning point into his full prime came in the late 80s. During this period, Jordan displayed statistical dominance that resembled something out of a video game. In the 1987-88 season, he averaged 35 points per game while shooting above 53% from the field. For a guard, that level of efficiency combined with that volume should be impossible. Yet Jordan did it while leading the league in steals and finishing near the top in blocks among guards. He wasn't just scoring, He was smothering opposing offenses on the other end. Opponents feared his ability to guard multiple positions, jump passing lanes, rotate like a power forward, and strip the ball cleanly without fouling. This wasn't normal. Guards simply did not anchor elite defenses. But Jordan broke that rule too. And his teammates saw something that viewers rarely got to see. Jordan wasn't naturally this polished. He worked himself into that form. His competitive intensity, the one that became famous later, was already visible in practice. He went at teammates, barked at veterans, demanded perfection, and pushed the entire organization toward a higher standard. Most superstars try to dominate games. Jordan tried to dominate every minute he was on a basketball court. But what made this period fascinating was that Jordan's style evolved more quickly than anyone expected. Most players refine one new skill per offseason. Jordan refined entire offensive categories. He wasn't just adding counters, he was redesigning his game year after year. He developed the mid-post turnaround jumper when teams started loading the paint. He developed his footwork when defenses forced him into contested mid-range shots. He developed an unstoppable first step when teams tried to deny him the ball. He developed an elite free throw game when defenses became more physical. Everything he struggled with, he fixed. Everything he was good at, he perfected. Everything he perfected, he expanded. By the time Phil Jackson arrived, Jordan had already established himself as a relentless scorer. But Jackson recognized something deeper. Jordan wasn't just a scorer. He was capable of being the most efficient and disciplined scorer the league had ever seen. The triangle offense did not reduce Jordan's impact. It focused it. It channeled it. It allowed him to erase the few rushed shots he still had, forced him to trust his teammates more, and created a structure where Jordan's decision-making could shine. This period produced the most dangerous version of Jordan, a player who still had the athletic gifts of the late 80s, but now had a team system that sharpened his vision of the game. The early 90s championships are remembered for their highlight moments: the shrug game, the switching hands layup, the mid-air improvisations. But what often gets forgotten is Jordan's complete dominance over the mechanics of basketball. He controlled tempo by simply walking the ball up. He controlled spacing without even touching the ball. He controlled defenses with his eyes, his posture, his foot placement, and his ability to sense double teams before they formed. His real prime wasn't about raw talent, it was about control, and the league knew it. You can hear it in interviews from players of that era. They didn't just fear Jordan's scoring, they feared his ability to change the entire flow of a game. If his offense wasn't working, he'd dominate defensively. If his teammates were struggling, he'd take over the playmaking. If the game was tense, he'd calm the team down. If the game was slipping away, he'd go for 15 straight points. Jordan always found the switch that needed to be flipped. This complete understanding of the game created a version of Jordan who was almost robotic in how reliable he became. During the second three-peat, he wasn't the same high-flying athlete he once was. But that didn't matter. His fadeaway became a cheat code. His footwork became a textbook tutorial. His defensive positioning became perfect enough to mask any small decline in speed. He had reached a stage where he won games not with sheer athleticism, but with mastery. This is why his prime is so difficult to measure. Was his prime the late 80s when he was scoring effortlessly and jumping over everyone? Was it the early 90s when he was the league's best two-way player? Or was it the late 90s when his experience and IQ made him the most mentally dominant player in basketball history? The truth is, Jordan's prime was all of it. It wasn't one version of him. It was the incredible combination of all those versions at once. The athletic beast of the 80s, the two-way monster of the early 90s, and the surgical assassin of the late 90s all existed in one career, and each version learned from the last. This is the part that separates Jordan from every other great scorer or defender or leader. He didn't decline naturally, he transformed. Every time age pushed him in one direction, he found an adaptation that made him unstoppable again. The moment basketball couldn't deny him anymore. There comes a point in every athlete's career where the game stops testing them and starts obeying them. For Michael Jordan, that moment arrived long before the last shot, long before the flu fever broke, long before the trophies piled so high his hands couldn't carry them all. It happened on an ordinary night, not a finals game, not a record-breaking performance, but a regular season battle where the Bulls were trailing, the clock was leaking away, and all the noise of the arena felt like it was pushing in on itself. Jordan had the ball at the top of the key, two defenders smothering him, a third cheating over on the help side, no space, no angle. No reason to take the shot he was about to take. But that's when you understand why Michael Jordan wasn't just better than everyone. He was already beyond them. Because when the ball left his fingertips, fading left, body twisting, momentum going the wrong way, it didn't look like a shot. It looked like a question he already knew the answer to. A question the league had been asking for years. Is this guy really unstoppable? The ball fell through the net without touching the rim, and the crowd didn't explode. It froze, as if everyone in the building suddenly realized, this isn't a man having a great season. This isn't a peak athlete dominating an era. This is someone who has completely mastered the sport. Jordan jogged back down the court with that expression he wore so often, calm, almost bored, like he wasn't celebrating the moment. Because to him, it wasn't a moment. It was the standard he defined. That shot became the symbol of his prime. It wasn't the dunk from the free throw line. It wasn't a 40-point explosion. It wasn't a soul-snatching steal or a fadeaway over a double team. It was a reminder of the truth people still argue about today. Prime Michael Jordan wasn't a player. He was the expectation that everyone else failed to reach. He bent defenses until they broke. He bent rules until referees had nothing left to blow the whistle for. He bent games until the scoreboard matched his will. And in his prime, he became so consistently great that his greatness stopped being appreciated. People stopped asking if he would win. They asked how he would do it this time. That's the terrifying part. Basketball didn't just witness his prime, it surrendered to it. Opponents weren't trying to beat Jordan. They were trying to survive him. And when the dust finally settled, after the shots and the steals and the championships and the impossible nights where he refused to be human, one truth remained. Prime Michael Jordan wasn't the best version of a superstar. He was the closest the sport has ever seen to perfection. Not because he scored the most, not because he jumped the highest, not because he won 6 rings, but because in the moments that define careers, the moments where pressure cracks even the strongest players, Jordan stood still, calm, in control, and basketball itself had no choice but to bow. He lost a step. He built the best mid-range package the league has ever seen. He lost some lift. He perfected angles and footwork. Defenders got more physical. He became a master of drawing contact. Coaches schemed against him. He learned every counter. The league shifted styles. He remained dominant anyway. The result is that Jordan's prime is the closest thing basketball has ever seen to a complete player. No real weaknesses, no exploitable gaps, no scenarios where he became predictable. No moments where he looked intimidated, no nights where he didn't impose his presence in some form. Opponents describe this era as exhausting. Coaches describe it as hopeless. Teammates describe it as inspiring. Fans describe it as legendary. But the statistics describe it in the clearest way possible. Jordan led the league in scoring almost every year of his prime, remained a top defender every year of his prime, and dominated clutch situations every year of his prime. His prime wasn't about what he could do. It was about what he could never be stopped from doing.